Hi John, this is my childhood bedroom and I moved right into it and that's all the stuff I have with me. That's my entire life. Okay, this week and last has been about orientation and listening to a bunch of people talking to me, telling me about things to do. I have at least one thought and I thought that's already a success from the past 2 weeks. I think it's really awesome that we have the privilege of planning ahead instead of living like day to day. For example, we can save money for the future. We don't have to think about what can I buy to feed myself each day. I think we are lucky that we have that privilege to like plan ahead and save and think about what we're gonna do next day, tomorrow, in 1 month, in a year. We are working for a company or a startup or a university that I'm working for right now. I think we also have a privilege to be able to plan ahead. We're not a startup that we have to think about what we're gonna do next month, how we're gonna get funding for the next 3 weeks. Let me quote what one of the many associate deans have told us about during the orientation. It's actually the first speech that I listened to. He ended his fairly long speech with, please enjoy the 30 years that you're going to work at this university. Holy cow, 30 years? People in Silicon Valley would just move around in 3 or 4 or even 5 if you're lucky. But he said most people at this university stay until they retire, which means most of us will have around 30 years at the university. And that's long term. And that just made me think, what can you achieve? What can you do in 30 years? So I just look at a bunch of mega projects that I think would take a long time. Like, for example, Suvarnabhumi Airport in Bangkok. Apparently, it takes around 6 years of planning with a bunch of obstacles, which I consider part of the construction, and it takes 3 years to build it. So it takes around 9 years. A new mega mall that is joint venture between a private company and the university take around 7 years to get approved, and then it's going to take 3 years to build it up. So a total of 7 years for the entire project. What about more mega project than that? Say the Coliseum, that's 10 years. The Great Pyramid of Giza, that takes 20 years. Not bad. And Taj Mahal, 21 years. How about my job? So say if I graduate 15 linguists per year, I'm going to be training around 450 linguists into the world. Now let's look at ideas and discoveries. Human Genome Project, apparently that takes around 15 years from the very inception of it until they call it complete, which is 93% of human genes in a cell. Next, Higgs boson, which I do not want to talk too much about because I think the more I talk about it, the more wrong I'm going to be. So it takes around 52 years from the idea to the idea that can be published to people with the solid experimental detail. So all I want to say is 30 years is really a long time. You can really achieve a lot with it. But I was wondering why nobody ever asked you what you want to achieve in 30 years. What's wrong with that question? I literally Googled that and I got nothing. It might be because it's just a really long time to fill. So it's like if you buy yourself a warehouse, how are you gonna fill this warehouse? You're gonna have no clue how should I fill this because it's just such a vast amount of time, vast amount of space. Whatever the reason is, it really does feel nice that 30 years is really a long time and a human can actually achieve a lot with it. And I still do not have an answer for myself what I want to achieve in 30 years, but I think it's a question that worth coming back to every once in a while. Hopefully, I won't have to come back to it 30 years later. That's it for me. I'll see you next week.